if you're arguing that all these vaccines are safe and Bobby Kennedy's a kook, then why do they need the liability protection?
Yes, absolutely. There was also another thing that they did that didn't make any sense because it went against the science. And they was saying that if you don't get vaccinated, it's going to cause variants. And that's not what they say.
Yeah.
What people who study viruses and vaccines say is you do not vaccinate during a pandemic with a non-sterilizing vaccine. So meaning if you give it to someone and they can still transmit and they can still catch the disease, you're going to cause these variants. And there is a scientific paper that I posted like early into the pandemic that said this, and people got so upset at me. I'm like, tell me what this says. What this said, there's virologists that would go on these podcasts that, they'd have to be the people that are willing to step outside the line and say these things. They're saying this is not what you ever do during a pandemic, because you're going to create variants. And that's exactly what happened. And doctors started blaming the variants on the unvaccinated. But if you question those doctors, explain to me how that works. There's no fucking answer. It's just a narrative that they have to say, vaccine good, anything else bad, ivermectin, you're crazy, killing people, death, blood on your hands. It was all a psyop, and it was super effective. And it was a way for them to make ungodly amounts of money. And that's what it was. And the quicker we accept that and realize that we're vulnerable to that kind of shit, if we still keep following along the same kind of lines that we're on today, as soon as we realize that, the better off we all are, all of us.
Yeah, and I think I got here in a kind of similar way to you, which is I think a story for like millions of Americans, is that I never even thought about this issue. I never dove into reading a lot about any vaccine until there was this COVID vaccine. And then I really dove into it and read a lot about it and found out that you guys were lying through your fucking teeth about the whole goddamn thing, and that the whole clinical trials were totally rigged and totally fake, and that you were able to get everybody in the the scientific institutions of our government to all repeat these lies, and then everybody in the corporate media and the political class to repeat these lies. And then when Bobby Kennedy came along and said, well, you know how that was all bullshit? There's a lot of bullshit with these other vaccines. I was like, I'm listening. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
It doesn't seem unreasonable at all. And the fact that they were trying to silence legitimate scientists, doctors, professors at major universities for stepping outside the lines. They were trying to remove them from Twitter. They were trying to silence them. They worked in conjunction with the original Twitter to do that. They silenced real experts. And when that lady from Twitter had to testify in front of Congress, it was amazing. That was amazing. And watch those people grill her. Yeah. Like, are you a doctor? Like, why are you silencing doctors? Like,
it was
what
the
are you
same.
doing?
That was the same. The one you had on, right, with Tim Pool.
Yes.
So, and one of the interesting things about that was, that was a great, still probably one of my all-time favorite JRE episodes. But it was when they were arguing that like they don't have a bias. Mm-hmm. And then I think Tim was like, yeah, but you ban people for like dead naming or misgendering.
Right.
And she was like, well, yeah, I mean, that's hateful. And you're like, yeah, but that's a bias. Like that right there is a bias.
That's a bias.
And it's one thing when you're just talking about like whether we're calling somebody a boy or a girl, but then you realize like, oh, you have the exact same thing when it actually comes to like very important medical information about a product that Americans are being forced to take.
Right.
This is madness.
No matter what you say, they're being forced. They're being forced if they want to fly. They're getting forced if they want to work in a place that has more than 100 people. If the workplace mandates it. Forced if they want to go to a university. Forced.
And they were implementing in a totally unconstitutional way. They were going to, through OSHA, through workplace safety, like just the most blatantly unconstitutional proposal, that Joe Biden was going to make it the law of the land that every single business with 100 people or more had to have everybody vaccinated. And it was only because of Donald Trump's Supreme Court that got struck down. And that's something that people who are paying attention remember. And so like, okay, you can demonize Donald Trump all you want to, but how many millions of Americans were not fired from their job, did not lose their livelihood because they refused, or were not vaccine injured for a vaccine that they never needed to take? I mean, how many people fell into the category that like me and you and so many other people fell into, where we got the thing and beat it real quickly before we ever got vaccinated, and then just didn't need it.
Right.
And then it just didn't make any sense. Even with the information we had about the vaccine back then, which we have a lot more now, but
Right.
even back then, I mean, you looked CNN's doctor right in the eyes, and he goes, well, are you going to get the vaccine? You go, no, I just beat COVID. Why would I need to? And he had no answer for you. He had no reason why. There's no compelling reason
They
why you
wanted me
should.
to join the team.
That's it.
That's all it is.
Yep.
They all, I mean, I had a very intelligent friend that I had a conversation with. You going to get vaccinated now? I go, why would I do that? It was a weird conversation. I go, I beat it in 3 days. Like, I wasn't even that sick, man. Like, I made a video 3 days later explaining, and I got in trouble because I took the wrong medication to get better. Are you guys out of your fucking mind? Like, if you were really worried about people's health and safety, when you say, hey, what's this 57-year-old guy getting over this so easy? Like,
Right.
what's he doing different?
Oh,
What's he doing different?
And you go, oh, he's very serious about his health. Oh, he takes really good care of himself. By the way, you enjoyed me giving the business to Chris Cuomo over